Today we're going to be going through the overview of the CoPilot capabilities in D365 Finance and Operations. So Dynamics D365 F&O is the ERP system which has embedded CoPilot capabilities in it. And today we're going to be going over those as an overview. So my name is Jake Green. I'm a principal at BDO. I am in the Microsoft D365 ERP practice. Here's my contact information, and let's get started. So inside of D365 F&O, there are three different types of CoPilot engagements within it. There is the sidecar, the embedded, and outside. So sidecar, as it explains, sits alongside the application as a sidecar and provides conversational support to the user. The sidecar is the primary CoPilot interface in finance and operation apps. It provides a natural language chat experience that helps users work with the application functionality and data. So think about it as an AI companion where you need to ask it questions while you're inside of D365 F&O. And we're going to go through a demo here in a minute of some of those capabilities. Embedded is the CoPilot feature adds intelligent capabilities to the application itself. In this way, they bring AI to the center of the application experience. Think about this as you are on specific transactions and you want to know more about it automatically. You want the system to give you AI insight capabilities of it. And we're going to go through an example of that one here in a moment. And the last one is outside. These are external agents that help orchestrate across different apps and tasks. We won't be going through this demo because this is more of an outside app that peers into the data, and you need to set it up in a way that makes sense to your business. But what we are going to cover today is the sidecar and the embedded aspect of it. So getting ready to go to the demo. So the two we're going to talk about here are sidecar and embedded. So sidecar is the CoPilot language where you ask it questions and it gives you feedback. And the embedded is going to be in areas, certain modules in D365 have it out of the box. And I'm going to go through some of those examples. So that being said, let me jump over to our D365 F&O demo environment. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is sidecar. So notice when you have CoPilot enabled, you have this little CoPilot button up here. And when you click it, it's ready for you to ask questions. So I have some questions that I've already got ready, so you won't watch me typing and misspell things, but it'll also do that as well. So the first one I'm going to ask is something typical like, can you walk me through the typical workflow for managing a supply chain within Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management? So you're going to ask it that question. And it's going to chew on that data and it's going to come up with the steps that you need to do in order to maintain that. You have to maintain the master planning, procurement and sourcing, production control, inventory management, warehouse management, transportation, and cost management. So this just gives you a high-level overview of a simple question like that. But you may say, no, I want specific things. Let's say I'm an admin inside of D365. And I was trained on how to set up a new user, but I forgot the steps. So I want to ask another question. Can you walk me through how to set up a new user and security in D365? So I'm going to ask you that question. And it's going to go out and generate the responses for that. So it says, okay, in order to do this, you need to create a new user. So you access it through the system administration. You navigate to the user management section. You add a new user by provisioning. Then you assign the security roles, then you configure data security, you manage the security roles, and then you monitor and audit it with continuous monitoring. Now, these are the steps that you would do to set up a user. But also what it can do is you can have a task recorder or a recorded video that you could say, hey, CoPilot, when someone asks a question about new user, I also want you to put that link to the video right here. Right here, obviously, it's also linking to standard documentation on how to do this. So you'll have hyperlinks in their responses, and it'll take you out to D365's Microsoft's sites to tell you how to do things. But you could also have specific documents for your company that when AI when it goes and looks for how to create a new user, it says, and by the way, at the bottom here, it can say, for your company, here's the document that you must follow, because you may have other procedures, you may have, approvals that have to go through setting up Azure AD. So this is answering the question, but you could also have specific things to your company that it answers as well. Then you can have like specific questions that if you're a user and you forget how to do something. So let's say I'm in accounts receivable and I was trained how to invoice an order after it was shipped, but I forget how to do that. So I come in here and I say, hey, how do I invoice a sales order after it's shipped? And again, this could pop up with a specific document that's unique for your company, but also it's going to come out here and generate, well, here's the steps you need to go to. You need to go to accounts receivable, orders not shipped, but invoiced. You need to find the sales orders that you want to, then you go to the action pane and you say generate invoice. So it gives you step-by-step of how to do that. So again, you could have your own document for your company here, but this is the steps that Microsoft and CoPilot is saying. These are the steps in order to invoice a sales order that's shipped but not invoiced. Then you may have specific questions like someone sends you an email and says, hey, that error message that you're getting when you try to post it, the account structure isn't set up for that. And you're thinking to yourself, I don't even know what an account structure is. So you can come in here and ask it questions like, hey, what are account structures? I don't even know what those are. And it will go out and generate an answer for you just to give you what account structures are. So it's basically account structures. They determine the order values when entering an account number. So when you're going to, say, for instance, you're trying to post an invoice and it's saying, hey, a dimension isn't defined in an account structure, and you don't even know what account structure is, you can come in here and says, oh, okay, well, this says it's the values used when entering an account. You use the main account and the financial dimensions to create these rules. So there must be a rule setup that I'm violating. So maybe I need to contact accounting and say, hey, I'm trying to post a sales order and it's asking me for a cost center for main account, revenue 51000. And I researched it and I found out that the account structure is a rule that's set up. Hey, can you validate that rule is intact? And they can go out and say, yes, you're right. And wow, how did you know that there was an account structure? So you can ask CoPilot questions to give you clarity on who to ask questions versus, hey, I'm just going to send a ticket to help desk because I have no idea what this means. You can ask CoPilot and it can help you out. And then you can have general things like, I'm in accounting and, hey, how do I set up a fixed asset? Because I forgot how to do that. So you can ask it questions like that. It'll go and it'll generate, again, all the steps. So here's how you would do it. But also, it's going to give you links to give you step-by-step of how to set up fixed asset groups and then how to set up its depreciation profiles, how to set up posting profiles, how to do this, how to do the parameters. And each one of these have a link to the white papers of how the details behind doing it. So you may also have a document for your company that says how to do this, but you can also ask it questions that it can give you clarity as well. All right, so that's how CoPilot Sidecar works. Asking it questions and then giving you answers, giving you clarity so you're not completely lost. It can drive you into ways of how to, like again, what is an account structure, fixed assets? How do I invoice a sales order not shipped? How do I set up a new user? You can ask it questions and it'll give you contextual information about D365 F&O. All right, that being said, so that's the sidecar. It's always open over here. Now there's the embedded part. Now the embedded part is strewn all throughout D365 F&O through all the modules. There are many modules that this is embedded with, and each new version of D365 comes up with new modules and new add-ons. So every time you get a new release, there are more and more modules that the CoPilot AI is embedded with. So I'm just going to go through a few of them here. So for the embedded CoPilot, I'm going to show you a few examples. So the first one I'm going to show you is the collection coordinator summary. It's a workspace, so you can find it under workspaces and collection coordinator summary overview. So, you can find it by coming here, but you can navigate straight to it by going to this workspace. So it comes up with the collection coordinator overview, in which case I can find a specific customer account. So for instance, I'm going to use US 03, and I want to look at this particular customer. And then when I open up this customer and I see view customer details, it's going to bring up some AI generated information about them. So all of this information is available if you do a lot of clicks and do a lot of research, but it basically gives you a summary based on CoPilot of a snapshot of this customer. Balances the payment history, the customer has sent 3 invoices in the last 6 months. They have a balance due of 38,540.64, which all of it's overdue. Their last payment was received basically a year ago, September 29th, for the amount of 73,000, and then the remaining credit balance that they have is this. So, and below it shows information like over 180, and then what they are in 30 days, so their total outstanding, as well as, this is all CoPilot generated information about that customer. So you could go and find all that by clicking and looking at their invoices and researching it, or it can summarize it here with CoPilot. You can also use the create email reminder of says, hey, AI, generate me an invoice so I can send to them. And what it will do is it's going to open, over here. And this is the demo environment, if they had an email address, it would automatically put it in there for you, like something like this. And then it would generate the invoice where you could come in, and if they had a name, it would also put it here, and it basically summarizes, all of their outstanding, and this is AI generated, and it puts, whoever I'm logged in as. I'm logged in as Jason Carlson in our demo environment now, and it allows you to send this. So it lets AI generate based on that information an email. So that's some of the other CoPilot capabilities. The next one I want to show you is sales order summary. So if I go to all sales orders, and I'm going to look at a particular sales order. So the CoPilot, when you are in this form, will generate information about the sales order that you're on. So it's generating the summary. So normally you come into a sales order and you're like, okay, is this item past its due delivery date? Is it, what is it? Is it picked? Is it packed? What's the status of it? And I could go and click and find out all the information. Or I could have CoPilot say, hey, there are 2 order lines in total with 2 lines that are not fully picked, and the order is currently open. And it says there are 2 order lines that are missing confirmation ship date. So I've not confirmed the ship date with the customer yet, and there are 2 lines that are nearly overdue or are already overdue. So it gives me that information about this sales order. So if a customer calls up about a particular order, you could go and research and find out, is it picked, is it packed, is it shipped, have I confirmed the ship dates with it? Rather than doing all that information searching, CoPilot gives you all that information right here. So again, you can go to, another sales order. Let's just look at another one. Maybe this one down here, notice it's invoice. So the customer calls up and asks about this one. So I'm going to click on this one and they say, hey, what's the status of this order number? And they give us. So it's going to say, oh, the order is invoiced. So it's on its way. So if it's invoiced, it's shipped and it's got all the information behind it. So, it's basically giving you the information, readily available to you. So I could come out and let me look for another order that maybe has more context to it. Let's grab this one. This says delivered. Okay, so let's look at this one. So let's say they're asking about this one. So it's going to open up. It's going to generate the summary. So the status of order 002689, it says the one order has 1 line and the lines are not fully invoiced, but the order has been delivered. So this one lets us know that we should have invoiced this because it was, if I could come up and research it myself and say, let me go and look at the packing slip and say, hey, has there been a packing slip done? Oh yeah, there was a while back. So I shipped it on January, but someone forgot to invoice them. So, This right here is telling me that we have an issue with this order. It was shipped, months ago, yet no one's ever invoiced it. So it was requested, and that information is readily available to you. I could click and drill and find out that information, but again, CoPilot summarizes it for us here. Another cool feature is some of the embedded things that when you hover over. So for instance, hey, this customer says, hey, they ordered item number 1000, which is a Surface Pro, 28 gigabits. If you hover over the item, it does a summary CoPilot. It generates a summary. So it tells you about the product, but it also says, that this product is, in the life cycle, it's in the operational life cycle state. So that means we can sell it. It's stored at a warehouse site, and its item model group is FIFO, meaning it's cost first in, first out. It lets us know that the purchase price was updated on January 18th of 2017 to be $8.99 per unit, and the sales price, has a per unit of 1,900 USD, and the cost price, we probably did a cost standard cost or a cost roll up at $8.99 on this date. Now, this information is only shown to you based on your security. So let's say you only have the right to see sales price, but not purchase and cost price. It wouldn't show you this. So this information is contextual based on your security. And then it also shows you information like this tablet can be shipped with other items, it's not for direct delivery, its weight, and then its dimensions. So it's basically summarizing everything about this product that you may need to know just by hovering over. So again, some embedded things for CoPilot inside D365. You could also click on the item and go into it and go to the product detail page of it. So for instance, I want to open up this particular, go to the detail pages of it. And it's going to generate a summary for me based on about the product, also some purchasing information for it, and also some sales information for it. So it tells you that, additional sales trade, what trade agreements are for it. If there's a minimum and max quantity when I'm selling it, if there's on the purchasing side, if there's any, it's 14 days lead time. There are, quantities for up to 29 units of how much it costs. So it's giving you detailed information. It's saying that I have 1,709 units in inventory on hand across all my warehouses. Now, if I wanted to, I could click on and say, I want details of that, in which case you could say, go to on-hand inventory for that 1,709. But if you just wanted the quick information of how many units I have, AI is just giving it to you right now. So when I drilled into it, it says, for this site warehouse, here's the available physical inventory. So that 1,709 comprised of two warehouses or two sites, most of them in site 1 and some of them in site 2. So again, you can always get to this information by drilling and looking for information, but AI is giving you the relevant information once you hover over it. Now let's go over to something like vendor summary. So I'm going to look at a vendor. Let's look at Acme Supplies. So when I click on this one, it's, the generated summary for AI is going to give me information about this vendor. So in the last year, they've had 7 total posted invoices for this amount. They have outstanding balance of this. So it's giving you a status information about the vendor. It's also giving me insight about them being overdue for invoices, totaling how much past due they have, what the actual invoice that was overdue and how past due it was. So it's giving you insight into the vendor as well as the status of the vendor. So that is allowing you to see information that I could figure out by drilling and clicking on all the open invoices and doing the research, or just having CoPilot summarizing me their status and insight for me. Same thing on the purchasing side. So if I look at purchase orders, and let's maybe look at a specific PO. I'm going to look at this one, drill into it, and it's going to give me insight about the purchase order. So it's generating a summary and it's saying, hey, this purchase order status is one line is not fully received and the order is approved and currently open. So we've got an open one, but it's not received yet. and it's saying that it's overdue. So therefore, and we're missing a confirm receipt date. So the vendor has not given me a confirm receipt date. It's overdue. So, if we had the ability to understand the fact that these orders are late, maybe we can generate a call up the vendor and say, hey, why is this late? You've not given me a confirmed ship date. So it gives you better insight to that, being able to call up the vendor and ask them questions. So the next workspace I want to show you that has CoPilot embedded in it is called the Confirm Purchase Order with Changes. So the Confirm Purchase Order with Changes workspace will bring up all confirmed purchase orders that have had changes that may affect downstream supply chain. So low impact changes, high impact changes, and impacted downstream orders. So the low impact changes is saying there are 2, and high impact changes there are 1, and downstream 43. So let me just focus on maybe the low impact changes there are 2. I wanted to, I could click show, and it's going to, out of the 2 changes, there are 6 purchase orders with low downstream effect. So it's basically saying these are the ones that there have been delayed deliveries on them and are affecting these purchase orders, meaning I needed them by a certain date and they're not going to reach here in time. High impact changes. So this one is a high impact change. So this purchase order is coming in for item M0004, and it's saying that because that's delayed, because or the change wasn't delayed, the quantity changed. We originally wanted 1,163 of them, but they changed it. This is all they could supply us. That downstream, it's affecting all of these either production orders that needed it and therefore need to be considered where the issue is. So, and then you can also look at the high impact downstream orders of all the production and sales orders that are affected by it. So basically looking at it in the opposite direction of each one of these sales orders or production orders are affected by this change because maybe this sales order is being fulfilled by a production order, and that production order needs this by a certain date or a quantity. And since that quantity or the date changed, I have an issue with it. So again, a workspace is giving you direction on problems that they see based on changes to purchase orders that will affect things downstream. All right, so that is the summary of the overview of the sidecar, as well as us discussing the embedded pieces of CoPilot inside of D365 F&O. And so if there are any questions or requests, please feel free to contact BDO. Here's my information, direct number, and email. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.